what you do in the practice of taking and giving. Let's take just one piece of pain. Let's say my hip. Yeah. Usually, what your mind does, it focuses on the pain, and as with anything that you focus on, it becomes more intense. It begins to feel like your inner field of vision or your inner horizon, however you want to call it. And it preoccupies you, I think is the right expression. And the more preoccupied you become with it, the more your emotional suffering, the more intense you're like, the more depressed you become, basically, or unhappy you become. So that's the normal tendency of the mind of most people. They will focus on that, and they will focus on themselves and my pain, and and then you do all these things to relieve your pain, and you're sort of like all wrapped up in yourself, in your pain, and you miss to note that the more you focus on yourself and your pain, the worse it actually gets. It feels like I have to focus on it because it's there and because it's big. You don't necessarily realize it's big and there because you focus on it, right? So what happens in the practice of taking and giving is for example, in the case of hip pain, you would simply allow yourself in the first step to open your heart to others who experience the same. So we say that the training in taking, as you said, is training in compassion, right? So you're taking your pain to basically use it as a window into the experience of other beings. So what I personally like to do is when I'm in pain, like my hip, I might focus on it and acknowledge how terrible it feels, have my own experience, and then just ask myself the question, am I the only one who is experiencing that? Am I the only one? And what happens through that question is, you reach out and you focus away from yourself. And even in that very first step, you can already feel like an opening of the heart. You can already feel a relaxing around the situation. And your heart goes out to others. And from that point, you can be as general or as specific as you wish to be. So, for example, you can think about other people go to the same rheumatologist that you go to. You can remember a few people sitting in the patient's waiting room, and look into their hearts, into their experiences. You can look into the hearts of countless countries, maybe even in war-torn areas where they don't even have medication to, deal with these kind of diseases. You can be as specific or as generic as you wish. You can expand beyond specific hip pain. Really open your heart to the experience of others, and you know for yourself how unbearable it is. And there comes a point in that like open-hearted space, looking into the hearts of others, sort of like feeling what others feel, like a compassionate experience. There comes a point where you just wish it would just be wonderful if nobody had it, right? It would just be absolutely lovely if nobody had to experience this now or ever again, or anything similar, right? So, and there are many different ways of practicing taking and giving. So I'm going to use one way of doing it. Geshe Kelsang suggests one option is to imagine that whatever your suffering is, it gathers all the suffering of others into that suffering. So like a magnet, basically, right? So I like to imagine that remembering my own hip pain, that my own pain in my hip is basically the magnet that pulls it out of the hips of everybody else. Yeah, it's I already have the pain anyway. I might as well use it to help others be free from pain. So I imagine that all that pain gathers, flows out of their minds, out of their experience, and I just take it away from them. I take it on because I've already got some pain. What's a little more, basically, yeah? And then there comes a moment, you're doing all this in your imagination, and everybody's imagination works a little bit differently. But there comes a point where you feel like, everybody's free now. The last bit of suffering has been removed. And then you just allow yourself to pause in that beautiful, beautiful imagined reality, vision of everybody being free from all pain, all of us. And you just abide in that result of your imagined action. And then, so that's the taking side of things. And if you wish, you can just at that point already, stop your meditation and go like, may all the good energy I've created in my mind be the cause for everybody else never to experience this again. Basically dedicating your activity from this meditation to the well-being of all living beings in whichever way you wish. Or you can also, if you want to, add giving to it, imagining that your own heart transforms into a wish-fulfilling jewel and send out light into the hearts of all beings, fulfilling all their wishes and needs. You can be as specific or generic as you wish. And what you find happening is that just as you just begin to step away from yourself, you're grasping, your internal tightness around your own sickness begins to loosen. And because you're using your own pain as the method or the means to relieve others from them, even if it's just in your imagination, it doesn't matter. In that moment, your pain becomes meaningful. It has purpose and it has benefit and it does things, From a Buddhist point of view, it's creating amazing karmic causes for peace and happiness for all living beings. So it's truly a meaningful and purposeful activity. And then, sometimes what happens, it doesn't always happen, but sometimes it actually really reduces the pain in your hip. Suddenly it's gone. And you're like, oh. And in a weird way, then it's even a matter of like, oh, now it's gone. Now I don't have anything what to take with, So you're a little bit like, oh. So yeah, it's a really amazing meditation. There's so many different ways you can practice it in, but whichever way you choose, it allows you to grow from it. It allows you, by virtue of starting out with your own pain, to learn to be with your pain without pushing it away or without shying away from it, fully accepting that it's there and accepting what it feels like. And then it allows you to open your heart, build your compassion by going out to others. So you're combining like your resilience or your courage to endure difficult experiences and transform it into a wide open heart. And that's what makes courageous people, right? And strong. That's what builds resilience, because from your experience with that meditation, you become unafraid because you know that you will have something to do with whatever pain arises. I know that even if I end up in a wheelchair, so what? My mind still functions. I can still do something with that. So, you become kind of fearless as well.